Okay, so just like we do know, on Friday, a lot of things happened over the weekend. And for those who will be asking the question on what exactly is happening in relation to the NDC's applications to the Supreme Court, especially asking for the High Court's orders to the EC to collate, in fact, outstanding polling station results in relation to Tema Central, Okaikwe Central, Techiman South, and Ablikuma North. It's still pending at the Supreme Court. Guess what? On Thursday, the Supreme Court will go into the matter. Thursday, January 23, the Supreme Court will go into the matter.
Does it mean that it will bring finality to it?
So now what they are seeking at the Supreme Court is to the effect that they are asking for two things. And for those who remember, on the first day of January 2025, New Year's Day, Justice for Simbai Japan dismissed or refused or overruled the NDC's objection challenging the jurisdiction of the High Court to hear the mandamus application from the NPP side. The court, having overruled that, went into the mandamus application itself, heard them one after the other. And then January 4, the court granted the request from the applicant, the NPP side, and ordered the EC to collate outstanding results of Tema Central. Tema Central was two polling stations. If you go to Okaikwe Central, there were 31 polling stations, Ablikuma North 62, and Techiman South 147. 3 have been completed. Techiman South, Okaikwe Central, then Tema Central. But Ablikuma North is still pending. There are issues with that. They say they disagree with that particular orders given. And even though those 3 have been completed, they are asking the Apex Court by way of judicial review in the nature of certiorari right to quash that orders of justice for Simba Ejapon. So on Thursday, the Supreme Court will sit on the matter and dealt with it. And we'll know whether the orders of the High Court will stand or it will not, or it will be as it is. And if it will stand, if the court agrees with the NDC side by way of this certiorari, it means that for the second time, you notice that the first time that they went to the High Court, they went and said that the orders of Justice Joseph Owusu Ajiman, that the EC should go and do the collation. The NDC side were not heard. This time they were heard and it was granted. So they will go to the Supreme Court, see what the Supreme Court will say. And that is not all the cases that the Supreme Court will hear on Thursday. Again, Akwetia constituency and Eskumi, the court placed an interim injunction on him.
Yeah.
He went to Parliament on the eve of the 7th January. And then he defied all the order and said, look, I am here, swear me in. The court has given an order, forget about it. We'll deal with it after. That case is before the Supreme Court. On that same day, the Supreme Court will also deal with it. So these are some of the things that we should look up to in this very week.
Okay. And then there was a certain workshop.
Yes. Galamsey issues, illegal mining. So I had the opportunity or privilege to be part of that particular workshop where stakeholders, some media practitioners, and also community leaders, opinion leaders, all of them came together, NGOs and other civil society organizations came together. And you note that before this government was leaving office, the issue about LI, Legislative Instrument 2462, was an issue that was before Parliament. We know what happened in Parliament because of this controversy, the Speaker of Parliament making an order taken to Supreme Court. So there was an issue where Parliament was not sitting. So issues before the Parliament that were supposed to have been dealt with were not dealt with. So that particular legislation or issue was one of the things that was before Parliament for its revocation. The law that grant access to mining in the forest reserve, they want it revoked. And so this particular workshop engaged or spoke about this very issue and made a recommendation or make some form of agreements or trying to come up with suggestions that will help government or help civil society organizations push for that particular question. But let's hear from Albert Ejapon, and a managing associate with Taylor Crab, an initiative.
Workshop is to train civil society and community bodies on mining laws, let them know what the laws, what is the because we realized that one of the biggest issues with illegal mining that we have in the country is the lack of information what the law is. We also get to strategize with them because the number of people who are here are affected by illegal mining on how best we can address it. So in the workshop, we talked about looking at immediate term actions, short-term actions, and long-term actions. And one of our immediate term actions is to call for the revocation of the LI that wasn't revoked before the last parliament expired. So that's been the purpose of what we've done at this training session. Illegal mining is a problem that we face as a country. After the election, we picked up reports that illegal mining is rampant and it's back. There was a cooling down period just before the election, but it's picked up. And we just want to keep the fire going so that people don't die, we don't lose sleep. Because we think, we are no longer hearing about illegal mining in the news. So we want people to continue, and we want the communities that are affected to continue to have a voice and to have a coordinated action trying to resolve these issues that illegal mining presents for them from a legal perspective. Community members and civil society organizations said this best themselves. I think in the short term, their goal is to get government to repeal the LI and get government to put a pause on all forms of mining in water bodies and forests. So in the short term, that's what we are looking to do, and that's what we are hoping. So we're also hoping that the attendees of the training leave better trained and better impacted and with more knowledge about our laws when it comes to illegal mining, so that they can go back to their communities and tell people that this is allowed, this is not allowed. Also, that when they see that something is wrong and something is not as it should be, they're able to speak up and ensure that the right thing.
So that is Albert Ejapon is a managing associate with Taylor Crab, a law associate, and they were part of the organizers of this very one. But what exactly is the fate of this LI that we are talking about? Let's hear him again.
So I think that the LI was sent to Parliament because the minister intended to revoke it. But I think on the 9th of June, when the minister was asked, he couldn't confirm whether the bill was actually laid before Parliament. But whatever the case is, by our laws, when a bill is before Parliament and that bill does not pass before the Parliament's time is up, we have to start the process again. And that's one of the calls that the civil society organizations are making today. That is, they are asking whoever, when the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources is appointed, that they lay a bill before Parliament to revoke this particular line. Because it's subsidiary legislation, it has to lie before Parliament for 21 parliamentary sessions. And at the expiration of that 21 parliamentary sessions, that bill would take effect and would have revoked this law. So in terms of status, right now as it stands, the law still forms part of our laws. It's effective and it can be relied on, even though the outgone Minister of Lands and Natural Resources signaled an intent not to use the law. Until it's revoked of our statute books, it's still available and it can be used.
All right, thank you. So that is more about that particular LI. They want it, civil society organizations want it revoked and all that. Arusha Ghana was also present at that particular forum, and Daryl Bosu, Deputy Director Arusha Ghana, was also there. And I have been engaging him on this very forum, what exactly they want done in relation to this very initiative that was put together.
Issue a cease and desist order to all the various actors on the ground, because one of the key promises this government made is that they are going to deal actively with Galamsey. They're very decisive, so we believe it should start now. There is action going on to reset the country. Several ministers have seen appointments there, but we have as yet to see any appointment coming from the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Land. I don't want to believe that this is what is delaying any action on Galamsey. The degradation and the destruction going on our water bodies and lands cannot wait. We can't wait till all the ministers are in place before action is taken. That's why an immediate cease and desist order is important. But going forward, I think the bigger issue of the LI, which has been on the table for a long time, still needs to be addressed. And I think that even before the election, there were quite some activities or actions by civil society and the broader public to get this LI revoked. We know it went to Parliament, and because of a frustration in Parliament, these issues were not processed as it should. Now we have another opportunity, and if this government is really serious about revoking...
So that's Daryl Bosu.
Yes, Daryl Bosu.
Deputy Director Arusha Ghana, also making a point there at that particular forum. So all in all, they are seeking to have that particular airline revoked. Started with the previous administration. Said, no, we are not waiting for the minister to be appointed before we do. We want to keep the fire on before the minister comes. Once the minister comes, he knows that there's something on the table for him to
immediately deal with.
And if you hear the kind of conversations, the kind of testimonies from these Galamsey areas, Lillian and Lanta, this country, we need to do something.
We need to be up and doing. Absolutely. But let's look at some of the cases coming up today. Mike Dineko is back in court.
Yes, the case with the most witnesses started with 61. And guess what it has got into now? 61. If you have 41 now, it means minus what? 20.
Yes. Wow. But that's still a significant number.
Exactly.
As we've always been saying. It's quite,
still
quite
a significant number. Yes.
Of
so
witnesses.
From 61, the accused person and his lawyers have been able to reduce it to 41. And guess what? Last week, Wednesday, 16, 26, 27, 28 witnesses were in the witness box.
Okay.
Before Justice Ifeasewa Saribochi, they testified. In fact, their testimonies were very brief. So they testified, cross-examined by state prosecutors, and they were discharged. Today, before Justice Ifeasewa Saribochi, Justice of the Court of Appeal, presiding as an additional High Court judge, will be hearing the witness number 29. And this is a witness who will not be coming to court in person.
Right.
The person is outside the country, so the testimony will be taken via video link.
All right.
So this is a case that we should keep an eye on, and some more that, of course, we'll get to do newsroom and our subsequent bullets.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to the duo.